All right, we are now live. I don't think anybody's here yet, but that's just fine. I am Antoinette Sawyer, and my husband Clifton is who will be here in a second. But here is my co-host Norman Armstrong,
Hey there,
all
everybody.
the way, all the way from South Carolina. I'm in North Carolina. He's in South Carolina. So the Carolinas come together. And
Hmm.
so we're just glad to be here and for another conversation. There comes one. Here comes Keely. Hey, Keely. Keely and Marks had dinner with us on Sunday.
All right.
Enjoyed you guys a whole bunch, a whole bunch. Hope you're having a good day, Keely. She's probably at work.
Y'all should have invited us. We would have came. We would have drove 4 hours to have dinner with y'all.
Yeah, right, right. I wish you. We had
Oh,
we had
believe me, I am not pulling your leg either.
we had a this morning was an interesting morning for us because there's a young man that's been with us, been coming. He used to come to the church all the time and was very close to us. We knew him from way, way back before we even started pastoring. And his name was Robert Mann. And he we had we had lost touch with him, and I lost his number and all that. But this morning, baby said he heard the words Robert Mann. That's his name. And how about he called this morning and said, "I'm tired of y'all, tired of missing y'all." And we were so glad to hear from him, to have that hook up again with him because I've been missing him too. So it's just interesting. He said we must have summoned him.
Wow.
Yeah. And hey, Linda Langdon, our super
Miss
fan, is
Linda,
here.
Keely,
Keely's at work. Yes,
Mr.
Keely.
Somehow,
Williams.
somehow I got thrown off.
You did.
Yeah, I'm back.
I see you in here twice.
So now I need to get out of one of these.
Yeah.
What did you do?
What did you
No,
do?
somebody was calling me.
Some that happens, doesn't it? So,
Hmm.
well, what was it? Sunday past, Sunday before last, or Tuesday? One of them. Our our internet just went completely out, went black, and you were. I think you were on there when that happened.
Yes, I was.
Are you still having trouble?
I am trying to get to you guys. I don't know what's going on.
You can't see us. Can you see us?
No, I might
But
have to go all the way out and come back in.
well, we can see you and
Oh,
him too. So whatever you want to do, go
I
ahead
got
and
you
do that.
now. I'm good.
You good?
I'm good.
All right. Don't be starting nothing today. Now don't start.
It's technology.
It is. It is. So Honey Bun just got him a little quick nap. Did you do good?
Mm-mm,
You didn't get enough?
mm-mm.
Oh, okay. What did you preach last night, Pastor Norm?
I talked about overcoming storms.
Oh
And
boy.
so I shared, of course, dealing with the parallel between the natural and supernatural events. I came from Mark chapter 4. I've been doing this is a spinoff from my series Transition, talking about the crossover. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to share with people as we are advancing in life, transitioning from one season to another. Oftentimes we are encountered with storms. And
Yeah.
so I wanted them to change their perception of storms that arises in their life, based off of the lessons that they have learned, because all storms can, when you perceive it in a positive way and embrace it, it is an indicator that you actually moving forward. And
Yeah.
so I was sharing with them that I know many of you are in transitional periods. You're now in that space between two seasons of your life, and as you're entering into a new season of your life, yes, there's going to be challenges. There's going to be oppositions. There's going to be things that will arise and show up unexpectedly. But just like Jesus had peace when he was on the boat as they was crossing over to Mark chapter 4, here a storm arises. Now something had was revealed to me that I never thought about from that particular text. We I remembered on last night that the disciples, they were skilled fishermen, which means they spent most of their time on
Mm-hmm.
the seas. And
Mm-hmm.
so because of that, they developed the skill and the knowledge to be able to discern the weather, to
Yeah.
know based
Yeah.
off of the skies and the currents of the water, based off of the winds, if it will be a good day to go out onto the waters or whatever. And so
Yeah.
when Jesus told them, let's go over to the other side, if everything seemed to be unfavorable, they would have gave the advice to Jesus, say, well, Jesus, I don't think this is a good day for us to cross over
Mhm.
on the sea.
Mhm.
And so it baffled me. It really blew my mind that this was a setup. This was literally a setup after the lessons that they had learned, and it was really the lesson to teach them about having inner peace. Because again, as they're crossing over, Jesus goes into the hinder part of the ship. Not only is he sleeping, but he's sleeping on a pillow. Never even thought about that. They actually had pillows back then. And so he's literally resting.
Oh,
Out of nowhere, again, it had to have been a supernatural occurrence because the storm came out of nowhere. There was no indication that there was bad weather. And
wow.
so, of course, we know the whole story. They are now frightened. They're afraid, and they go to Jesus and they wake him up and they say, "Master, do you not care that we perish or not?" And so I was sharing with everyone that when these storms arises in our life, and we're going to have them, as
Oh,
long as
yeah.
we're going to have them, I wanted them to embrace the storm, even like when we are on our journey and we're on a road and then all of a sudden there's a curve, a change is about to happen. Sometimes we try to avoid the changes in our life, we try to avoid the
Mhm.
storms, and then so trying to avoid it or escape it, we end up in an incident or an accident in our
We
life.
do. We
And so
do.
I was encouraging people, I want you to change your perception of the things that's rising up in your life. Embrace it, go through it. You know, like going into a turn, go into the turn. Don't try to escape it. Go
Mhm.
ahead, embrace it. And I promise you, you will cross over. And through you crossing over, you're going to be better. You're going to be wiser. You're going to be stronger. There are lessons that we all have to learn in life. And so that's what I was basically sharing with them on last night.
Well, that's good. It's kind of like a person that's in a river floating downstream and not in a boat, but they're just kind of okay. They're floating downstream and they see this log coming up, and they know the log is inevitable. It's going to happen. If you try to avoid it, of course, there is no way you're going to avoid it. You're just simply going to frustrate yourself trying to get away from it. So the best thing to do is to accept, okay, I'm going to be presented with this log. Now, how do I deal with it? And
Exactly.
I think that's the way a lot of us, well, I'd say that's not the way a lot of us have learned to deal with life. We don't accept what's coming. We tend to try to go into a denial, and we try to speak it out of existence or speak against it or pray against it or have try to make it go away, and then if it doesn't go away, we tend to think that there is an enemy out to get us. And but I'm learned that everything has to be accepted and, as you said, embraced. And in your spiritual walk, and I ask this of you personally, Pastor Norman, in your spiritual walk and the journey that you have embarked on since the pandemic, because you've talked quite a bit about that, how it changed you. Do you feel as if your outlook has changed? And if it has changed, do you think it's a permanent way that it's changed?
Um, yes, I have to say that my outlook on so many different things, and even dealing with I would say our religious background and what we came, my outlook has changed
Mm-hmm.
um a great deal. Um I would say that it's the change is permanent as I move forward or I evolve, because I realize that we are forever evolving. So I would have to state that even in this state, I believe that I will progress even the more. There will be change in my life in
Definitely.
the future that
Mm-hmm.
will take me to a higher level of awareness and development in my life. So I will say that it's permanent. It's beneficial for this time and in this season. But again, like the kids right now, A lot of them are graduating
Mm-hmm.
and they're
Mm-hmm.
beginning new journeys and chapters in their lives. Just like I was the guest speaker yesterday for the teenagers in Colombia, and so I had to encourage them, even speaking to myself, that there will be another season in my life that is going to happen. Change is going to occur. So I do not, because we all, it's human nature. When change occur, oh, we become so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It causes us to become very emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would have to say I've learned to embrace all the different things that's happening. I mean, one of the things that keep um helping me out is when Jesus made this statement in Psalms 24 concerning the ends of the time. He said these things must happen.
Yeah.
So now I'm realizing that there are things that we was taught religiously through conditioning. Oh, when things get rough, you better pray. Like we trying to pray it away, get rid of it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then it still yet happens. And now we're discouraged as if God let us down. But I remember Jesus telling the disciples, especially Thomas, he said that the enemy comes to sift you as wheat. But he said, I'm going to pray that your faith. He didn't say that I'm not. I'm going to pray that you escape the event. He said, no, I'm going to pray that your faith fail
Fail
you.
not.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that was something that I learned, that a lot of these things that I will face in life was preordained. And
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
to live the whole story out no matter what.
And I think that for myself, I've come to a point too. I'm understanding that nothing can be ignored in the sense that if something is presented to me, something that I wasn't expecting, something that I consider to be a negative or something that's threatening, something that's uncomfortable, when that happens, instead of running away from it, whatever comes up in me is what I need to take a look at it, because life becomes a mirror. And so if it brings something up in me that surfaces that wasn't there before because of that thing that's I'm looking at, then that's something I should deal with and not so much try to stop what's happening. It's there to bring whatever came up. It's there for me to see that. That's a mirror of life. So the mirror of life has happened to a lot of us, and we have turned our face away from what we see in ourselves when those things come up.
Mhm.
When they come up, and all of this, I was looking at Linda's comment. And she said crappy things. And I
Yes.
started to say all this crap comes up. That's the stuff we need to look at and not turn our face away from the crap that we're seeing that's coming up, because it's showing us that there's still some element of egotistical, self-centered, self-absorbed illusion of separation in here, still in us, and
Mhm.
it's there so that we can deal with it. Now I want to read what she said. She said, so many crappy things that have happened to me were only stepping stones to something wonderful waiting for me. If the bad thing had not happened, neither would have the good thing. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've heard a
Exactly.
lot of people say that whatever that was, that bad thing that happened, they said that was the best thing that ever happened to them. And yeah, yeah.
And that's the amazing thing. And I have to say, I learned that lesson. Things it at the moment we think is the worst thing in the world that's
Mhm.
going on with us, and then after, and it's funny, we don't realize that it's a good thing until we overcome it.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. We don't see that ahead of time.
Exactly,
The
and so
purpose
it's
of it. The
funny.
purpose of it. Yeah.
But I'm glad you said what you said, because that's a lesson I learned from you guys when I was with y'all back in the mid and late 80s. Actually, I didn't leave y'all until like it was 1991
Yeah. Yeah.
is when I
Yeah.
left. Um, but that was something I remember y'all are teaching us, that oftentimes when we talk about the Holy Spirit will sometimes cause things to surface up in us that we want to say it's the devil, but it's actually the
Mhm,
Spirit of God revealing something, bringing something up in us that we
mhm,
need to deal with
mhm,
concerning
mhm.
ourselves. And that was a lesson I learned from you guys many, many years ago, that a lot of things that we consider to be the enemy, to be evil, and so forth, is actually something in
Yeah,
us that we need to look at
yeah,
and
we
admit.
yeah. Yeah,
Mhm,
we felt that. Well, I won't say we. I'll say myself. For a long time, I felt like if I was sincere in what I was doing, that there was nothing that there was nothing wrong with me at that moment.
mhm,
But sincerity doesn't make you. I don't want to use the word right and wrong, but sincerity can be present here inside of you, and you still be blindsided.
mhm,
That makes sense.
mhm,
We can be blind to something, just even if you're sincere, you know. And
mhm.
I think a lot of people feel like when they're sincere that they have clarity and they know what they're doing, and they're right in the way that they're feeling, the way they're accepting this thing. But if we all have a blind side, and that blind side can only be revealed when the mirror of life presents something to us that brings something up out of us that we don't think is really the way we should feel and the way we should be. And when that happens, we usually act out of character,
Oh, yes. Yes.
and then we look back and say, why did that affect me like that? But then it's because the mirror of life was presenting it, and you didn't know that was down in there.
Exactly. And it's funny because I was getting ready to make that statement. Because as you was talking, I'm reminded of a saying that we have heard throughout generations. And it's a question that we have not been able to answer quite as of yet. Why do bad things happen to good people?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I
So,
remember, you know what? And I remember years ago, there was this girl that this is way before we started pastoring. She was what I would consider a very arrogant young lady, but she was a minister. And she preached a sermon, and her title was There's So Much Good in the Worst of Us, and There's So Much Bad in the Best of Us.
oh, that's good.
Yeah, and I remembered her title, and I'm like, that's good.
Mhm.
And
It
that's the truth. That is the
is.
truth.
It is. And so when especially when we come from the background that we came from, the religious conditioning, again, it used to come up a lot. And then even how we've been taught to pray about things. And so when you looking at yourself and you're thinking, I just use myself as example, um, I really felt like I was living by the book,
Okay.
literally by the book. Again, and I'm not ashamed to say this on the broadcast. I kept myself till I got married. Remember, I started preaching when I was 16. So
Yeah.
I was doing everything by the book. I was going to church. I didn't party. I didn't drink. I didn't smoke. I was literally called a goody two shoe in school, in college, everything. And then all of a sudden in my life, and at the peak of
Of
season
your
where
ministry.
ministry
Yes.
was, my
Yeah.
ministry was blowing up. Um, here came the attack, and that was the thing that occurred to me. How in the world is this happening to me? I didn't do anything. I'm living according to the word and all this stuff like that, and so forth. And so you're asking why? And there go the question again: why do bad things happen to good people? And now at this stage in my life, I realize that really there is no such thing as a bad thing.
And there's no such thing as good people.
Exactly.
There's just people. And there are people who think they're good, and there are people who don't think they're good, but they're still just people. And
That's
even when we've done our best, we still have not arrived. And I wanted to read something out of this book today called the chapter is called Getting Stuck in Superiority.
oh, I love that.
Hmm. And unless you have something you want to say, I'm going to read just a little bit of it. And this is really for people who are trying to get rid of the egotistical mindset, the mindset of separation. If you've ever had that glimpse and you had that awakening where you really don't want to be an egotistical person anymore, and you've got a glimpse of how slippery and sly that thing is, you this really will bear witness to you, or you'll resonate with you. It is from the book again, by Adyashanti, called The End of Your World, and it's called Getting Stuck in a Sense of Superiority. I have to take my glasses so I can read it. One of the most common delusions after awakening is the delusion of superiority. This is very common in spiritual circles. People can get stuck in a sense of superiority whether they are awake or not. It's a trap in the dream state, just as it's a trap when somebody is traversing from non abiding to abiding awakening. But after awakening, the egoic mind can come in and start to feel a personal sense of betterment, as if awakening made oneself better than another. This is very common. It's almost a natural part of the process. Now, see, even though, and I'm not saying you weren't a good person, but I'm saying the thought that I'm a good person was an egotistical thought.
Exactly.
Because when you're really living that, and I'm saying that about myself as well as you and anybody else, when you're really living as that one that's loving and walking in all of that Christ, all the Christ attributes, it's not something you are aware of, because the thing that's aware of being that, it's like uh thinking that you're humble. Well, that in itself is not humility. You see what I'm saying? So it's,
Exactly.
if you're loving, you won't know you're loving. If you're humble, you won't know you're humble. These things are not something you see about yourself and admire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
You don't
so
you don't highlight those traits.
exactly, you won't admire them because there's nothing there to admire them, because that you are is your nature and not something you're trying to be. So he said, inheriting this delusion is the sense that we know something. Because we've awakened, we know. Because we have awakened, we're right. Because we have awakened, we are always right. At this point, the ego, which is the constructor of the dream state, can take that perception and start to create what I call an enlightened ego. Isn't
That's
that
good.
something?
That's
Isn't
good.
that something?
That's
And
good.
see, this is the thing when you're serious. I'll say it like this, like I said it to you before. When you're a serious seeker or a serious student, and your intent is to live that spirituality to the fullest, the ego will take on different identities, and there can be an enlightened ego. And in your case, it could have been a very spiritual, advanced Christian. And when that happened to you, all hell broke loose in your own feelings,
Mm-hmm.
in your own thinking, and brought things up that you didn't even think were there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens. That's what I call the mirror of life.
Yeah.
It makes you look at yourself like, okay, this I'm acting totally out of character. So I've got to look at this and see where this thing is coming from.
And it's crazy because you don't even realize it at that point, but then you start afflicting pain and suffering on yourself, trying to figure out, well, where did I actually go wrong? What
Mhm.
what did I do that
And
caused all
yeah,
this to come
and
upon
getting past the thought, I don't deserve this.
me? Exactly,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. All
yeah.
try to get to that place, and I'm so glad that you made that statement, that even when you consider yourself to be humble, that is not actual humility
Mm-mm,
and so forth. So I
mm-mm.
remember I went through all of that process of trying to figure out, only to realize, like I said, in the midst of the pandemic, that the enemy that I was really fighting was the ego that was being evolved based off of
Yes,
all of the
yes,
achievements,
yes,
all of the things that was
yes,
happening at the ministry, the miracles, all the things, and
yes.
thinking that you being some great champion or crusader for God. and not
Mhm.
realizing that all the while the ego is trying to take credit of everything else.
Exactly.
You're
Yes.
just walking in beingness, like Dad
Yes.
said all the time.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
be.
And I just had this dawn on me after saying it. I just read it and said it, but I realize now that there is nothing that in us, the love nature, that would say I don't deserve this.
Hmm.
The ego would say I don't deserve this, because the ego has a superiority. It What's the word I'm looking for? It has a high opinion of itself,
Exactly.
and that high opinion, we don't realize, is the ego that says I don't deserve this.
Which is the most critical entity.
Yes.
It
it's,
criticizes
it's
everything.
slippery and slides. Mm,
Wow.
mm,
Not only
mm.
does it criticize others, it criticizes its own self.
Exactly, exactly. Man of the universe is here, and I'm glad he is. He said the state of being does not require us to say that we are what we say we are. Exactly.
Exactly. And I just had that conversation on yesterday. Speaking to someone at during the break time of the conference, and a statement that was made, and I was blessed to hear that she was answering a question that was presented because I was also part of a panel as well, and she made a statement in reference to one of the things that kind of helped her to get over with different challenges in life is her faith. All
Hmm.
right. And she mentioned, now when I use the word faith, I'm not trying to be religious,
Okay.
but I draw my strength from my relationship
Okay.
I have with God. And so at when we took our lunch break, I went and I said, I appreciate what you said, stating that because there is a shift that's happening. We need to
Mm-hmm.
become more
Mm-hmm.
relational rather than being religious.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that is the big um upheaval right now in the midst of a transition of getting two seasons. And like when we talk about seasons, those are periods of times in our life where if we talk about the process of awakening, okay, there was a season where I was not aware.
Yeah.
But then I went through this transition or this space, and now I'm in another season of life where I am becoming more aware or
Mm-hmm.
conscious of
Mm-hmm.
who I am, who God is, my oneness with Him, and so
Yeah.
forth. And so I was sharing a lot of that with her again because I preached a message a while back about religion. We about to funeralize, do a funeral for religion. Religion is dying.
It is.
It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing because
Mhm.
in our religious conditioning is keeping us separated,
Yes.
even
Yes.
in Christianity.
Yes, yes, exactly. And hey, Sister Sharon, I'm glad you're here, darling. Man of Universe also says sometimes we can say, I'm not, and proceed to do or say something that shows we are what we say we're not.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so what I guess, to sum it all up, what we're actually saying is that the ego, at some point in your awakening experience, enlightenment, however you want to call it, spiritual journey, spiritual walk, whatever you want to call it, relationship with God, at some point the ego takes a turn and becomes an enlightened ego and tries to hijack that you are and live it out. And so that's when there's this era of superiority. Then superiority, is not always you think you're the greatest, but it's I don't think I'm as bad as,
Mhm.
or that even that phrase we just said, I don't deserve what's happening to me.
Mhm.
And in order for that to say, I don't deserve what's happening to me, it had to have a very high opinion of itself. I remember, and I've said this to my husband, uh, when I was right in the throes of this vitiligo, with my skin and my color was switching around and changing, and I was getting white spots all in my face and everywhere, and I couldn't hide it. I remember saying, "Why me? Why me?" And I heard the voice deep down inside of me that says, "Why not you?"
Mhm. I've heard
Because there are things that happen to everybody else. Why not you?
it.
Are
Mhm.
you better than them? And that whole thing helped me to take a pause and redefine what I am apart from my physical appearance.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. And see, one of the things, especially when we use the sacred book and script of the Holy Bible, we have to remember the language is totally different than what it is today. And
Hmm.
so Jesus kind of gave a lesson concerning all of this. He made a
He did.
statement that
Yeah.
the sun will shine
Hmm.
on the
On the
just and the
just and the
unjust,
unjust. Yeah.
and the rain is going
Yeah.
to rain
Yeah.
on the just
Yeah.
and the, none of us is escaped from any of the things that happen in this dimension. I
Right.
said
That's
that
right.
way.
That's
And
right.
so there have been many times where I went through some things to make that same comment. Why me? Why is
Yeah.
this happening to
Yeah.
me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I heard the same reply. Why
Why
not
not
you?
you? Hmm.
And then we're taught in the church from preachers and spiritual leaders, never ask the question to God, why? Now I had to find
Even
out
Jesus asked why.
exactly. I had to find out on my own journey. God don't have a problem with me asking him a question.
Jesus said, "Why have you forsaken me?" He said that.
Exactly. Exactly.
In the throes of pain, in the throes of suffering, in the throes of feeling abandoned, in the throes of feeling as if you were being neglected and even abused, that comes up. That's a human response.
Mhm.
But it is also an egotistical response, and that's what we're talking about.
I'm glad that you used it because going back to the language of the scriptures, when Paul makes this statement about crucifying the flesh daily or the carnal man,
Mhm.
a lot of people don't understand because I know there have been a lot in during my time of ministering to so many others. They still yet don't have the inside revelation what it means to be carnal. When he's
Right.
talking about being carnal flesh, he's making no reference to the body. He's actually making reference to the ego.
Yes. Which is a body mind awareness. It's it's
Exactly.
it's, it's the awareness of being a me that is a body and a mind. That's what carnality is. But most of us have that affliction,
Hmm.
the belief that I am a body mind entity.
Hmm.
And even in the area of where we say, I think, therefore I am. Uh, and so we think because our mind is working, we think that mind is us, and it's not us. The mind is not us. And when it takes a while to learn the nature of the nature of the mind, and that egotistical. I looked at a guy on YouTube the other day. Remember the movie Dracula, the last one they've just done. What's the guy's name? Last name is Lucas, I think. Michael Lucas. He played Dracula.
Yeah, I know
It's
what you
the
mean.
latest one. Good looking guy. Anyway, I didn't know he could sing. And he was singing this song, The First Time I Ever Saw Your Face. You remember that song?
Uh-huh.
And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. But the whole time he was singing, I was noticing his eye teeth. It looked as if he actually had fangs. And this was not done by cosmetics or anything like that. Nothing changed this is his actual look. And then I said, well, why do we have fangs? Why do we have those fangs right there? Because there's something in us that's what I call rapacious, which means we will kill to survive. And
Yeah,
that's that egotistical nature that's in every last one of us.
you're talking about being an apex predator.
Okay. What's
Yeah,
the apex predator is what?
that's like let's talk about the time of the dinosaurs. The Tyrannosaurus Rex, which was the dominant dinosaur that
Yeah.
all the dinosaurs of fear, that is an apex predator. They are
Okay.
high. They are high on the food chain. A lion will be considered a apex
Apex.
predator. All
Okay.
right,
Okay.
so
Okay.
forth. So those are the
Okay.
ones like you said. They prey on the weak. We
Mhm.
have that
Yeah.
we would kill, you know, in
Yeah. To
order to
survive.
survive and so forth and so on. So that's those things that are high upon a few chains that prey on the weak or whatever.
Yeah.
Those are considered
Yeah.
apex predators.
And so we will kill to survive, and the survival doesn't always mean for food. It
Exactly.
sometimes it means for power.
Again,
To
in our
remain,
kingdom,
yeah, to remain in power.
who becomes the next leader? They battle. The
Yes,
lions
yes,
battle. The bears do the same thing. Whoever
yes,
wins that battle, then they're now considered the leader of that tribe.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So we have physical evidence that we have that
Hmm.
nature sometimes in our human mindset. That is our nature.
It's
So in order to get away from that, that means something has to be radically changed, seen,
hmm
to move away from that kind of living, from that mode of living.
hmm
Something has to be seen, clearly seen.
now when it comes to our physical self, and again in this dimension we call Earth, um, and this is my personal belief, so no one has to quote me on this or whatever. I'm not saying I'm right, I'm wrong, whatever, but this is just what I believe based off of so many things that mankind has discovered. When you mention about the fangs that we have, I
Hmm.
think people are going to become very surprised. Either they have already discovered and not let man know, or there is going to be a discovery that's going to shock the world concerning our evolution as man.
Yes, yes,
It's
yes,
going to literally shock the world.
yes. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. You got something you want to say, honey? About? Don't stay quiet the whole day now. We're gonna shut up in a minute and let you talk. Okay. Anyway, I'll read just a little more of this book. He said it's hard to get through to a person who is stuck in the sense of superiority. It's a place of grasping on to certain insights and hiding behind them.
Mhm.
When we are in a true state of awakeness, we never use what we have realized as a way to hide from anything within ourselves. We welcome everything into the light of being. As soon as we notice ourselves using our own realization as a means to dismiss unconscious behavior, we should immediately recognize that we're operating from a state of delusion.
Wow. That's a
Mhm.
word that's been coming up a lot. The word delusion.
Yes, yes.
A lot.
Because the ego can take on an illusory identity.
Mhm.
It's not it We talk about the real self and the fake self, the false self. The false self is the ego taking on an identity and believing, and then that true self, that pure self that we are, beginning to believe that that's who we are,
Mhm.
and giving it power because it has no power of its own, but we give it power by believing that's what we are.
It's funny because you just made me think about what my mom just went through last week and this week. I took her for a second eye surgery on today, and so basically, what they did, she had cataract surgeries years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and now scar tissue has developed behind her pupils, and so
Oh,
they just
okay.
take a laser. So they did the right eye last week, and they did the left eye today. But this is a funny thing, and so when she was telling me, we were just laughing. She said after the surgery she had last week, now it's going to be two eyes that's doing this. They told us that she, for anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks, she will experience floaters, and
Oh,
so floaters are basically her seeing things
yeah.
that are actually not there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
she
Mm-hmm.
said there'll be times when she's cooking and she will see something on the counter or something other and literally think something is
Yeah.
nothing there.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's watching TV and she thinking a fly or something is flying in her face and it's nothing
Mm-hmm.
there. And
Yeah.
so I said, Ma, that is not only funny, but that's deep because there are people that are really, really fighting something that is really not there.
In themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah. 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 You had something?
Here is the definition of floaters. In the pathless path, weak, our Christ we create those floaters. We created every floater before we ever, even this world is a floater.
Yeah, yeah, I can see.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And a floater, while you're getting ready to say what you're going to say, a floater, because I have those. Occasionally, it'll come up like it's like a speck of dust or a particle on the lens of your eye, and so when you look, you think it's out here, but it's really in the eye itself.
I asked the Lord to show what it looked like, what real unforgiveness looked like, and what judgment looked like. And I said, how will I know when I'm in judgment and in unforgiveness?
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that judgment and unforgiveness, we made that like that for the venture that we have here. We created that. Not anything like that was occurred on its own. We put those obstacles there. So here's what happened. I'm standing in the line, and it still comes up now. And the more you find out the truth of beingness, you're gonna see more floaters. Floaters are not supposed to stop; they're supposed to stay there until you find out that you do not exist. Okay. In the line at the bank, I want to go in the door and go straight up to the teller and cash the check or make a deposit. But when I get there, it's about 25 or 30 people in front of me. So I got a choice. I can either stay there and react. And if I leave, I'm going to react. And if I come back and there's nobody there and I go straight to the teller, I'm still reacting. But I'm not the reactor. I had to find out who the reactor was. But the reactor didn't know that I created it.
Yeah.
I created those people standing in front of me.
Yeah.
I uncreated those who were not standing in front of me. So again, he said, I'll show you. Well, who he's showing is the reactor, that the reactor is a fake.
It has to realize it's a fake.
It's a fake. Now, in my notes, there was 3 men in the Bible. Maybe if you go through the Bible and in a book and find out how many men or people that it was that never physically died, that was actually translated. Now, what that symbolic and esoteric meaning, deeper truth than what is seen, is the reason why they didn't die physically was because they found out how not to let floaters get their attention off of being Jesus.
Or Christ.
You don't stop being Jesus because there are floaters. You stop being Jesus because of the toxicity.
Toxicity.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Toxins. Dirt,
Toxins.
mud,
Yeah.
grease,
Yeah.
oil. The oil and grease is there. You put it there. You put everything there, but the you that put it there was not the one that react to the toxicity. You also put the one there that reacts and not react. So you can neither love or hate. The one that loves and hate is the fake. But in other words, say it like this: you on a baseball field, you're standing at the home base. The bat, the pitcher, the backstop, left field, right field, first base, second and third, and home. You created all of that. But you did it for the fact that when you in the game, you're not seeing who is real that created all of it. We think there's a false self and a real self. No such thing. No such thing as a false and real self. Because none of it exists outside of God. Now,
Exactly.
here's where Satan come in. The power that we call Satan and ego is the floater.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
the floater, we put it there. God, we put ourselves in Christ, and the distraction gives off the idea that we left him like the prodigal son. Father was still there. He ain't going anywhere. Hear what Jesus said this. And that day you shall ask me nothing. Verily, verily, I say, it's the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. That's what that verily, 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 verily. I say unto you, whatsoever ye shall ask the Father in my name, he will give it you. Then he goes on over here in another place. He said, Father, the hour cometh, glorify thy Son, that the Son may glorify thee.
Mm-hmm.
The thee and the Son and the Father are the same. So when you ask, when I was in the council room, I looked up in the ceiling and I saw the pillar of fire, the cloud that was with Moses. I saw everybody in the universe that was part of the council, which means that was Mohammed, that was all these religions that says Jesus was a good old boy. They were there. All the people that denied Christ, that said that he was a fake and he was just a metaphor, they were in the council room. His mama was there. I saw her. Let me tell you something. They wouldn't let me stay home from school. My brother and sisters, they went maybe to the sixth grade, maybe the fifth grade. They could stay out. And they didn't have the closing thing. But the reason why I couldn't stay out was because every time I go past the wall socket, if I did something, I jump because they whipped my butt so much with a drop cord and a stick, a piece of wood. They even would take the hammer and throw it at me if they could. So I had to go to school every day. I didn't pass my grade because they tore the school down in the first grade so I could get to the second grade. they did, they did, I couldn't stay out because God was perfect attendance in my life of being his true self. God never chose anybody else but his true identity to be us. So I had to go to school every day. I never missed a day. Even when I was sick, I would be up, whoever that was, all night long, throwing up, sick, appendicitis, about to die. I had to go. I went to the doctor, gave me a shot, back up again. I had to be the one to go to school. When I stayed out of school, when you go back, you're supposed to have a note saying from your parent what was going
Mm-hmm.
on. I didn't have to have one. I tried to hide. God hid himself in the closet where his Clifton Sawyer body was born. And when 2:30, 3 o'clock came, he come down the stairs like he'd been to school with the books, but my uncle saw me. So I went all the way through school, the sixth grade, never missed a day, perfect attendance. I got to the sixth, seventh grade, perfect attendance. I made it all the way up to the 12th grade, and all of a sudden, perfect attendance disappeared. When I told the man that I was with when I was down there that he passed, left his family with the COVID, the one that the guy,
Mm-hmm.
good friend close to you and the family. I told him I had the prettiest report card for sixth grade all the way up to 12th grade. I got retained one time, and that was in the say it was the fourth or the fifth grade, fifth grade, because there was some. I didn't know that there was some people ahead of me that was graduating a year ahead, but I was supposed to be with another set or another camp of people in the classroom. So I had to go through Miss Jeffries' class, not Miss Jeffries, but well, anyway, her class. But she was mean. The teacher that would pass me was a friend of my daddy's and her husband, Miss Spainhour. She passed me, but then something happened and I got put back. Now, I'm saying all this to say God was us in the good times and the bad times. It's not a good time, bad time. It's all God. So here we go. Here we go. I went through this, and then I finally got with the one that I was supposed to graduate with. When I got to the 11th and 12th grade, all of a sudden, I passed every class with red F's, blue, green, purple, lavender, white ones, purple ones.
What kind of great teachers those was?
And then your friend in the bed said, "Man, you was all effed up, wasn't you?" I didn't drink, I didn't smoke. I cussed so much when I was little that wouldn't nobody mess with me. They tell me to tie my shoestring when I was little, I'd cuss them out. They tell me that they're gonna tell my daddy, and my daddy they always had to call my daddy to come down to my house to do a special delivery of a butt whooping. When I did something, I got a butt whooping in the wood yard. If it was a slab or a board or a stick or a piece of iron, I get it thrown at me. But I had to go to school, and I went. And when I got to the 12th grade, all of a sudden, it switched over, and I got my license. I still didn't drink, but I got mixed up with this guy that was a hoodlum, a bank robber, and everything. Carrying guns. I even carried guns to school before this stuff ever started. I'm carrying a 22 in my pocket and a knife. And wow. I went through all of that. And then I got tied into to him and shot at a girl in the house, all that stuff. I got put back in the 12th grade. Nobody in my family ever made it to 12th grade. Nobody ever been in my family made it to 12th grade and had to go to summer school. Then all of a sudden, here come death and sickness in the family. I didn't have the monies for the gown and cap until I had to start to work. So all this stuff that I'm telling you about, God was all of it. And then all of a sudden, I look around and I'm working in R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. You don't work in this place here in North Carolina in high school. I started working in Reynolds when I was in the 11th grade in high school, and that was forbidden. But the favor of God was with this crazy guy that I run around with. He turned my name into the plant manager at Whitaker Park, and I got a call after working 2 or 3 months at another place to come down to R.J. Reynolds for the physical. I couldn't read. I couldn't write. I put marks on there that looked just like words, and I got the job. He told me that they want me to come and I got the job. I got in all kinds of things, but never anything deterred me from one point. Now watch this. God was this lady right here beside me. If I had never got drunk and got my license and run around with them guys, I never would have met her.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, I saw God and didn't know who he was as me and all those people that I run into. Somebody said, why did God choose you? Well, excuse me, like my brother asked me, how did you get somebody like your wife? I said, well, what the ham sandwich wrong with me? I didn't say it quite that nice. And he's sitting on the porch. He can't keep nobody. He get busted up, blasted, fall out drunk. My mama had to make him go put clothes on. He's running around the house drunk, naked. And mom said, I wish you cover up your stuff. Yeah, I get tired of looking at that ugly thing. And he didn't make it through school. All of this, and everybody think that I'm rich. I got plenty of money, and I still look like that now. When I tell people, I said, when I was back in high school, I was pretty. But now I got older, I'm cute. You know, but hey, And so,
And you're not supposed to say you're cute. Somebody else has to tell you
well,
you're
I
cute.
had to tell me that. I didn't pay attention. No, you can't believe what everybody else tell you. So they told me I was cute and was telling a lie. So I told myself, so I made the truth, you know. But anyway, I'm telling you guys that when Jesus came in the room, I didn't know he was me
And you're speaking
coming to myself.
you're speaking as the absolute.
Absolute.
So
I saw him.
as the absolute, yes.
Got into casting out demons, binding and loosing for years. Got into the preaching, all that. Never anybody, anywhere. And I got favor with guys that in the neighborhood where you don't go, and excuse me for saying this, I don't like to use the terminology, you don't go in the white section of town, but I did. And when I did, I had favor with those people, these people. I didn't know that they were angels, earth angels that took up me. I learned how to, if I may say, somebody learned how to preach by experiences and not by reading and studying. I didn't have to have nobody read a book to me or read the scriptures out to me in the pulpit. But by that time, when I got ready to preach, the Lord himself taught me how to play the game of reading.
You just confirmed something I preached last night.
Yeah. I saw God.
Yep.
In your life, I saw
the difference between gathering knowledge and revealed knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what you did.
Yeah. There's a difference in accumulated knowledge and intuitive knowledge.
One of the best things that it could ever happen to you is to be Christ and live in the Christ life and not know it. Because if you find out something swells up on the inside of you, God chose me. All that stuff about apostle.
That's the area of superiority.
Yeah. That apostle, prophet, ranger, pastor, the turkey, chicken eating, pig's foot chewing, and cornbread eating. All of that was God. And I didn't see it until this day that I speak to you now. I saw God. And I see God. Now, people say, how do you see God? I don't know, but I know that I saw him because he told me, I heard it said, you didn't find me. He said, I'll let you discover me. And the me that I saw was him. Now I'm sitting here now talking to you. My stomach is queasy. I didn't sleep good last night. And there's a whole lot of DO going through me. I'm going through what's called a regurgitating, puking, throwing up attitude, feeling, dying, suicide, death, run off the car, get in the car, just run down in a ditch somewhere. And you in the Jeep, y'all can get down there. If you get in the Jeep and you got all four-wheel drive, hook it up. You might get out, you might not. But if you don't, just stay right in the mud hole and just spin a wheel until you get out. You know, Put that big tires on it. I mean, that's a tough. All of these things, I never ever thought that I was in heaven and never left heaven in the midst of pig pens, liquor house, moonshine, boom farm, shotgun shooting. My mama was so mean. She sat in the mirror and cried because she was so mean she couldn't get rid of herself. And when she got, that's the truth. And I didn't know how to love anybody because every time I say I love you, and I have trouble with it now, saying I love you because I didn't believe anybody. I don't believe it. I just didn't believe. But I saw God. And every time I hear you say I love you, there's something in me reacts. Now, all of this trash is in everybody in different ways. I know that every last one of us that's listening to me, and I'm seeing your name, you are the fullness. You are one of those 3 men or 4 men in the Bible that never died. You walked into heaven and you never left heaven. We are the God that directs him. We are the God that directed himself to be us, and God directed us to be him. When you wake up fully, and it is gradually, it took years for me to get to this point. Gradually, as you wake up, or he wake up to himself, you're going to see more. Now, this thing that's going on in the country, it's going to be what it is.
Mhm.
The upheaval that's going on, it's going to be what it is. It was not meant for me and you to become politicians. It was meant for God to be them getting their butt busted. That's like when God said to Abraham, take that boy to the
Exactly.
altar,
Mhm.
kill him. And I want you to kill him till he's dead. And when he die, I want you to raise him up and kill him again. I told a preacher one time, he said, I'm gonna take you into my arms. And I'm gonna be a father to you. I said, don't play with me. I told him, we got into a big fight in my office, man. I said, don't play with me. I said, he said, what you mean? I said, if you lied to me, I said, I'll kill that you just said and raise it up again and kill it again. I didn't even have to drive him to the airport to get rid of him. If I did, I wasn't even aware of it. There's a lot of them came into my church, and I told them what I had to say to them about what was real. And I'm thinking about prophetic things then during that time. Now, some of the things I said then, I may not say it now, but I may say it in a different way. Because I found Jesus. And Jesus is everybody I run into that I gave a rough time and gave me a rough time. That was all Judgment Hall and the crucifixion of Sawyer and the resurrection of Jesus in the midst of it. So there's no good, no bad. Only thing left is God. I'm sorry. And don't you say this. Don't you? Somebody online gonna hear me now that don't like this. You ain't gonna tell me Satan ain't real. Yes, I will. I'll tell you that God is realer than he is. If it wasn't for God, he wouldn't exist. Do you hear what I'm saying? If it wasn't for you being Christ, you wouldn't see a devil. That's why you see him, because you are him. I rest my case. If I don't say no more the rest of the day, that's good enough. I mean, I can't say it's good enough, but I'm going to say it. It don't make no difference anyway if I say it or not. It's still going to be what it is. Thank you. Go ahead, baby. I'm through.
You through? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's time to be through.
Jesus,
it's time to be through.
Jesus is every man in the universe perfect self.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to tell you something crazy.
You already told us something crazy.
I'm going to tell you some more crazy.
Okay.
Hey, my bed was growling one day, and
is this going to be clean?
And it ain't going to be clean. And my bed was growling one day, and I had gas so bad I thought I was going to have to lay on the floor. And when it come out, my wife said, why every time you get ready to release the gas, your eyes pop out?
Now, what does that have to do with the price of eggs today?
She said, whatever that does. I said, baby, it's something in there that ain't me that's showing itself. And you looking at it, and I'm gonna make a joke out of it. She said, boy, you should have seen your eyes. They got big, they popped out, and that blast come out the back end like a backfire of a truck. Kaboosh! And Miles said, boom. You see them cartoons.
Like I was gonna say that the cartoon.
You're the cartoon. You are the cartoon.
Well, anyway, back to the ranch.
Well, no, it's time to quit. He got on his soapbox just at the end.
He did.
Jumped on that soapbox. And I wish you could see him from this end, from here, over here, because he's pushing like this. And he's pushing the table. He's getting up as close to the camera as he can. And his neck's getting long.
Hey, but that
so
only way I can say that is the preacher in it. That's the preacher in him.
I don't know what that is.
He said that's the
preacher in you.
Hey, he said that's the creature.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it when it gets riled up, it's something else. I know that.
He going in, like we said, he going in now.
I'm gonna shut up now.
Look, back in the day when we were in the building, a lot of times we would minister together and we talk like we're doing now, and we'd be sitting there and going good, and all of a sudden he would get on his soapbox like that, And I mean, he forget all about me, and I'd be sitting there. All I can do is just look at it. Just look. That's all I can do.
Hey, remember now when I was coming there every once a month? Remember when I was coming every once a month?
Uh-huh.
It would be offering time,
Yeah.
and he'd take up the offering, and
And
all of
he'd
a
be
sudden
gone.
he gone. He gone.
You don't
And
get
he,
to say nothing else. That's
and
it.
then he gonna come to me and tell me, well, we gonna have Norman and I was
What it
listening to
is.
that. Ain't no need for me to say nothing.
And then what it is, while we're talking, he's building it up. He's building it up. And it's about to explode in him. And then when we shut up and give him a chance, he just goes crazy.
And it's true, man. It is true. God is us
Mm.
in the illusion, and the illusion
Yeah.
was put there for us to. In other words, I'm married to her.
Oh, really?
She's married to me. She don't have to have a ring on.
How many years?
3 days. 3 days. We've been married 3 days.
54 this year,
54.
Norman. 54
Wow.
And she gave away rings and everything, and
years. I did.
and it don't.
We gave away our Rolexes.
Rolexes, everything.
Yeah.
It don't matter about
I want them
that.
back.
I was going to say, y'all should have thought about me. I collect watches. Y'all should have gave me the Rolex.
I gave my Rolex away.
That was way,
I want it
that was
back.
Pastor Norman. That was way back there when I had that image. Like a comedian said to a guy in the audience, he's sitting there with a suit and tie on. He said, "This guy sitting here like he getting ready to go to work, like he got a job. He ain't got no job. He just sitting here looking like he got one with a necktie on."
Oh my God. Oh my God. We're being crazy now, you guys. And
I started that. I did.
Yes, you did. You started every bit of it. Didn't he, Norm?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, baby girl, where'd she go? She's gone on
Hey,
by her business.
that was here how God the negative or it's good. Here's an old guy goes in the bathroom, and I'm in the factory working. He told somebody in the break room to tell me to come out. He wanted to show me something. So what he did, he went in the bathroom right there next to the break room. He went in there and come out. And when I came out, he came out and he pulled his britches down and turned his back end up to me.
He moaned you?
Yeah.
Why?
In the factory.
Why?
Just that ugly.
He just wanted to move.
Yes, he did.
Why?
I don't know. He just that ugly. He just that and I went out to see what he wanted.
You know, I had somebody do me that way too. We were at Barnes and Nobles, and we were standing at one of the book stands near the plate glass, and somebody outside just decided he pulled his pants down and put his butt up to the glass.
Yeah.
Moon me right there, and I said, okay.
We're talking about toxicity, whatever it is. We're talking about junk and mud.
He said toxicity.
Toxicity.
he just forgot the top. He said toxicity.
Toxicity. I ain't good.
Stop. That's it. That's enough.
What is toxicity?
That's quick.
It's the city and a town where toxic
Look,
is.
we got it.
Okay,
we got it. Oh my goodness. Oh Lord have mercy. Toxicity.
Toxicity.
Look, I don't know how anybody listens to us. We're so silly.
Hey, man of the universe. You know, I'm
they look at us for a comedy show.
I'm trying to be nice, Miss Linda. I'm trying to be nice.
You are not trying
Diane,
to be
I'm
nice.
trying to be nice.
You are not trying to be nice.
Linda Langdon, I'm trying to be nice.
You are not trying to be nice.
One of these days.
Green says, "Oh my God."
Yeah, that's Sister Tony that be on our prayer.
God too.
One of these days we gonna have to talk about that topic. What does it mean and feel like to be totally free? And I've shared that with you guys.
Totally silly.
I shared that with you guys before. That's one of the things that I'm blessed by with you guys, y'all level of freedom, especially after coming through the religious conditionings that
Yeah,
we
Yes,
all
bro.
yeah,
went
but
through.
I know somebody's stumbling over our freedom, but
Somebody said, "Oh my God."
but yeah, you're right. Freedom makes you act like this. It does.
There was a man that was my supervisor over the department in Reynolds. He was supposed to fire me because I stayed out to do a spiritual religious thing of
How
not
many
coming to
times
work.
did your mama die? You call and say my mama died.
Yeah. I told my mama died. And I told my mama's sick and I just got a phone call. And he went to a
Oh,
lady that was nosy. She was uh, a squealer.
a busybody.
Yeah, she told Mr. Kiger, that was his name, said he's lying. Said his mama ain't sick. Now how she know? She didn't even know my mama. And that was a lady that after I met the Lord, I went.
Oh,
She sat at the table where they sorted out trash from the tobacco. I went by there and she was real sick, like the one with the issue of blood, almost example. And she was the one that told the supervisor that I was telling a lie so I could get off work. And what happened was I patted her on the back after I got saved and spoke to her and said, "Good evening, how you doing?" And she went back and told that same supervisor that was supposed to fire me that God healed her.
and you didn't even know it.
And I didn't even know it.
Mm.
And it was mentioned to me that Mr. Kiger told me later on. I saw that man when he retired before I left. I wished I had told him how I appreciate the earth angelicness of God in his life that caused me to keep my job at that time.
Mm-hmm.
The mystery that we cut up and have fun with here, but let me tell y'all something. I cut up with tears of laughter and joy. I have met Jesus and I'm meeting Jesus now.
Mm-hmm.
The doctor that I went to yesterday to get my teeth worked on, I had a chance to tell a lady about her aborted child on the other side. I saw when I told her, I said, Jesus showed me how to see him in the life of aborted children, and that there was a place where they all went, and she broke in the front office with other ladies. She said, "Please stop." She said, she come out and told me, she said, "I did that." I said, "Well, that child that you aborted still calls you mama."
So
And it's looking.
she was carrying a lot of
She's
guilt.
carrying it. She
Yeah.
gave me a phone number to call her after they got off work. I won't do that until I sense the urgency of it. I don't need to call her any other time, but she said, "Call me." She said, "There's some other things I want to talk to you about. And when the moment comes, I'll go back the next week after. I'll let her know that I hadn't forgot about it." But I told her about her aborted child, and I could see that child looking at her and waving at her on the other side and calling her mama. And she said, "I did that." And she said, the way she talked, I'm telling you, the woman broke. She said, she sat there at the chair and she just had to take her glasses off. And we both had to just contain ourselves because it was in a very busy place. But anyway,
That's not the first time that's happened.
no, that's not the first time. It happened many times. But you're going to see the miraculous. I'm going to tell all of you this. All of you guys that are listening to us now, whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter. You guys are getting ready to see the Christ that you have always wanted. You're getting ready to see more of his and hear more of him speaking and doing things after this class today than you ever have. Even the ones of you who thought you had the right words to say about certain things about Christ in your life, you're going to see even more. There's a regurgitation of Christ coming up in you in awareness of things that will blow your mind. You're getting ready to see the miraculous presence of the Christ self reveal itself in some of the most amazing situations. Thank you for coming on with us, all of you, Pastor Norman.
But I want to say thank you because I made a similar statement on last night on my broadcast. I believe that's the time that we're in, and that's why I was talking about the revealed knowledge. There is knowledge and information that many people are going to experience that they would not have gotten from reading a book or being somewhere being educated or taught. It's going to be just an enlightening
Mhm.
an event in their lives, and
Yes.
they can become
Yes.
very aware of stuff that was hidden for years in their lives. Yeah.
Yes. I call it the gravitational pull of enlightenment, and it's stepping up. It's
Hmm.
stepping up. Anyway, folks, we have been here 14 minutes over the time
That's
limit,
okay.
and we're having so much fun with you guys. Thank you for tuning in to us and being here and listening to our craziness as well as our self discoveries. Pastor Norman, thank you for having another conversation with us.
Always. I enjoy.
We'll be back next Thursday at 12:30, Lord willing, and nothing changes. In the meantime, you can catch us on Sunday mornings at 10 for us at Cornerstone and 11 for Pastor Norman's on his Facebook page. Is that
Yeah.
Norman Armstrong Facebook
Norman
page?
Norman Armstrong Ministries Facebook page. And
Yeah.
before we end, I want everybody to just give a quick shout out to my wife and my daughter. My daughter's birthday is tomorrow, and my wife's birthday is on Saturday.
Oh, wow. Happy
Wow.
birthday, guys. Happy
There's a little boy
birthday.
that's supposed to come to my house Friday this week, and he don't know it. He is going to get a bicycle that I put together, two-wheel, fat bike, Mungo Dolomite. He don't know it, but I'm getting ready for his birthday. He's gonna come look at all my toys and tractors and bulldozers that I made in the garage, and his mom and dad are gonna be there, and I'm going to give him a bicycle that I put about $2,000 in to make and design. I'm gonna give it to him as a token of the heart of the Spirit of God.
Mhm.
And Tam, and she, Iona, because that's what of our former member, Iona. It's not Tam's birthday; it's Shannon's birthday. My daughter Shannon.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay.
Shannon's
But
birthday
it's
tomorrow.
a wonderful thing to honor and to respect just those little things that come up in people's lives. Happy birthday to everybody out there that need a birthday, want a birthday, go get a birthday, and got to have a birthday. Happy birthday.
Oh, my gracious.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. If I don't see you no more, have a good night.
All right. We'll
All
see you
right.
next time, guys. Bye.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
everyone.